Today's video is brought to you by the Cold Plunge. Use discount code DAVE150 at checkout at thecoldplunge.com. Immediately save $150 off your purchase. That's DAVE150 at thecoldplunge.com. There's also a link below this video.
And how do I know if I'm, quote, pushing too hard during the ride and that will impact my run negatively?
Experience. Number one, experience. Even with my experience, I know I've had events in hindsight where I've pushed too hard on the bike and it impacted my run. And it's either that intensity on the bike impacted my run or the intensity with inadequate nutrition at that intensity impacted my run. So you learn a lot with experience. And I stress the importance of, if you are someone who's training for a 70.3 or 140.6, trying to do those smaller races, sprints and Olympics, half marathons, leading up to your main event. And so you learn by experience. Number two, if you're training with power on the bike, then you are going to know what kind of power you're trying to hold, a steady power zone, usually in that 80 to 85% of your functional threshold power is what's adequate for a 70.3. The beginner is going to be on the lower end range, closer to that 80%, whereas a more advanced athlete with experience is going to be more at that 85%, or a little bit higher, a little bit lower. Again, that advanced athlete's going to have more experience to know. And so the idea is to try to hold that steady power. From a rate of perceived effort, you're going to be, again, the beginner should be at a rate of perceived effort at around a 5-6, whereas a more advanced elite athlete's going to be, 6-7 up to an 8 for a 70.3 distance. And so it's important to monitor your effort. So if your goal is to hold, let's just say 200 watts, and at that time during that race, 200 watts is feeling like an RPE of 8, that's too much. You need to lower it and just go with the flow and go with the RPE effort. Even if 200 watts feels like an RPE of 5, okay, hold it. And don't try to do more and don't try to push it harder, especially in the beginning stages of an event, because you might hit some hills. And so, there is going to be, you're going to be on the higher end range when you're going uphill. You're going to be on the lower end range of your power when you're going downhill. But in the end, it's going to average out. And that's why we're looking at that normalized power number value. And hopefully, if you're able to stay in that range, you will be more successful on the run. Not a guarantee, because then there's the factors of hydration, nutrition, and all the fueling you're going to be doing, how much sleep you got the day before, what your taper plan was like the week or two leading up to the race. And so that's why experience goes a long way. You do the race, you keep track of what you did, what your intention was, how you executed it, you learn from it, you make some changes on the next in the next season of training.
Experience, yeah. And I think the foundation of all of this is having a plan going in. Then if you're pushing too hard. Yeah, there's some external factors like the weather, but if you have the plan of when you're going to, fuel and hydrate, then if you're pushing too hard. You already know. So
right, you practiced it in training. It in training, so you're going into this saying, okay, look back at my training and see what I was successful with and what I wasn't.
Yeah. I think that's the only reason you would ever have doubt is if you're not following a plan. If you just threw your plan out the window, how do you know you're pushing too hard? Well, you're not following your plan. You're just kind of winging it. And that will impact your run negatively.
Good point.
If you're outside those numbers that you have planned ahead with your coach, then
Right.
Today's video is brought to you by the Cold Plunge. Use discount code DAVE150 at checkout at thecoldplunge.com. Immediately save $150 off your purchase. That's DAVE150 at thecoldplunge.com. There's also a link below this video.